Hello everyone, my name is Slade, I'll be your host, and welcome to Star Wars Did You Know? Before we continue today, just want to give a brief shout out to everyone who supports the channel on Patreon. With your help, we've hit our first goal for the channel, so we're going to be producing 2 videos per month from now on. Thank you for that, guys, it's a big help, and thank you to everyone who subscribes to the channel. I'm glad you're enjoying the material, and I hope you continue to do so. In this video, we're going to be talking about the Mandalorian Sector, colloquially known as Mandalorian Space. Now, before proceeding, it is important to note much of what I'm going to talk about in this video is still considered Legends or Expanded Universe canon. A lot of it is not Disney canon, and if it is Disney canon, it is incredibly vague in its detail. So unless stated otherwise, expect all of this to be Legends or EU canon. Located in the Outer Rim territories, the area of space that would become known as the Mandalorian Sector was originally conquered by the Mandalorians in 7000 BBY, when the Mandalore system and the planet Mandalore were conquered and taken by the Mandalorian Crusaders as their adoptive homeworld. From this base, the Mandalorians launched a series of conquering crusades, called the Mandalorian Crusades by the rest of the galaxy, from which they would expand their territory until finally being curtailed by the Galactic Republic and Jedi. Following their defeat by the Galactic Republic, the Mandalorians settled into an area of space loosely defined by the borders of the Ojoster, Mirian, Belsmith, and Demetris sectors. These borders would expand and contract many times over the following millennia as the Mandalorians continued their wars against the Republic and Jedi. To this end, they frequently allied themselves with the Sith and other galactic powers that were at odds with the Galactic Republic in an attempt to expand their territory. The period of Mandalorian expansion was finally ended following the Sith Wars and the Ruusan Reformation in 738 BBY, in an event that would become known as the Mandalorian Excision. A combined force of Republic judicial forces and Jedi were sent against Mandalore. The result of this conflict was the dethroning of the Mandalore, the leader of the Mandalorian people, and the emplacement of a pro-Republic government, which would remain in place for roughly the next 700 years. This pro-Republic government, called the New Mandalorians, would remain nominally loyal to the Republic till the time of the Clone Wars, at which point, under the leadership of Duchess Satine Kryze, it would form the basis of the Council of Neutral Systems. Despite wishing to remain neutral during the course of the ongoing conflict between the Galactic Republic and the Separatists, the New Mandalorian government would fall during the course of the Clone Wars, not to either of the warring combatants, but to another organization known as the Shadow Collective. The fall of the New Mandalorian government prompted an invasion by the Republic, which ultimately saw the Shadow Collective defeated and another pro-Republic government put into place. A quick break in the video to explain something. It is not yet established in the Disney canon what the fate of Mandalore is. As of the recording of this video, in Star Wars Rebels, the Mandalorians are fighting back against the Empire, but it is not established as to whether or not they're going to be successful, or if they're going to be defeated and remain under Imperial control. In the old canon, for much of the duration of the Galactic Empire's tenure as a powerhouse in the galaxy, Mandalore and its peoples remain under the control of the Galactic Empire or its splinter factions before ultimately gaining their independence. And now, back to the video. Following the Clone Wars, the Mandalorian Sector remained in Imperial control, and would not regain its independence until 9 years after the Battle of Yavin. Mandalorian Space would remain largely out of galactic affairs until the time of the Yusen Vong War, at which point the Mandalorians would ally themselves with the invading extragalactic power. This alliance, however, was not a true one, as the Mandalorians were secretly feeding information to both the New Republic as well as the Imperial Remnant and other forces that were fighting the Yusen Vong. Once the Mandalorians' betrayal became evident, the Yusen Vong attempted to invade Mandalorian space. However, the Mandalorians were able to repulse and eventually defeat the Yusen Vong invasion, being the only galactic power to successfully defend their home space against the invaders. Following the Yusen Vong War, the Mandalorians began a policy of peaceful expansion, using renewed economic success to establish diplomatic and defensive ties with neighboring systems. This resurgence of Mandalorian power, albeit peaceful, was viewed with deep suspicion by the rest of the galaxy. Despite this suspicion, however, the Mandalorians appear to have remained relatively peaceful, using diplomacy and economic ties to expand their power, while also aiding the Galactic Alliance in its governance of its systems. Due to the division of the canon by Disney, it is likely we will never know what was ultimately intended for Mandalorian space. What we do know, however, is that roughly 127 years after the Battle of Yavin, the Mandalorians were fighting on the side of the Galactic Alliance against the Fel Empire and their Sith allies. Ultimately, this battle against the Sith and the Empire was unsuccessful, and and the Mandalorians would withdraw from the war. Beyond that, the fate of the Mandalorians and their sector of space remains open to Disney's interpretation. Doing this video has given me some ideas for upcoming videos involving Mandalorians. For example, exploring the original Mandalorian people and their history, explaining what the Mandalore is and who has held that title, also exploring the different systems and planets of Mandalore space, in addition to things like the Mandalorian Excision and other significant events, giving them their own videos. If you're interested in these sorts of topics, let me know in the comments below, and we'll look into doing those in the future. Alright everyone, that's the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, feel free to like and subscribe. There'll be more content coming. If you'd like to support the channel on Patreon, please do so. Every little bit helps. Until next time, this is your host Slade, and this has been Star Wars Did You Know?